because anytime you have animal handlers at all, that just adds a whole other element because you can only have so much control over animals, and they're pooping everywhere. I've said that. They're not going to poop on camera. Wait, where are the Lay's potato chips? Hold on. Wait for, because I think this has to be a mistake. I love this little extra guy, and he's not an extra, he's talking. In case you don't know, tons of extras in the show, by the way. If you're an extra, you don't talk. I may have deleted one negative. I don't delete comments, by the way, just so you know. That's very misogynistically reversed. Women's lib is reversed. He says, I don't know, I wouldn't want to go up against my wife and my secretary at the same time.
Bewitched, bewitched, you've got me in your spell. Bewitched, bewitched.
Who wants to talk about Bewitched? I mean, chat about Bewitched. Jeez, you'd think I would know the name of this show by now. And look for the Lay's potato chips. I'll explain in a second. All right, so I love... I've said it a million times. I love the little opening segments where we just get a little glimpse of just life, just general life, normal people. And then, of course, she happens to be a witch. And here is, look at Liz, like really hunkering that thing. Now, it is on wheels because, again, they move this furniture in and out constantly. But it's almost like they try to make the wheels not move as well, whatever. Anyway, lots of interesting blocking, as it's called in this, where she has to bump the lamp and it has to fall over and it has to break. Unless you think that happens perfectly the first time, it didn't. Okay, so right there, you probably know they just did it backwards. She actually went like this and pushed the lamp with her fingers. I need to see if she has nails going on there because that would have been hard. And then they just reverse it. And she takes her hand away and it looks like, yeah, the sound effect, and it looks good. Okay, so why not the wind and why not the speed up thing? That's what I want to know. Do you know we haven't done a Bewitched chat yet where she does the woo 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 woo. So they just kind of cheated there. And, you know, again, depending on how much they got going on and how much time they got shooting, this is just practical stuff of shooting a show like this. You know, you got a time a show that you have to shoot in a week. That includes the table read and everything. And, you know, there's only so much gimmicks you can do. Now, this one has not one cow, but many cows in it. One cow mainly, but many cows in it. So, you know, I always like to talk about, you know, how aggressive is this episode. It's definitely medium aggressive. It's not over the top, but it's not just simple. Let's just everything's being shot in the house. Because anytime you have animal handlers at all, that just adds a whole other element because you can only have so much control over animals, and they're pooping everywhere. I've said that. They're not going to poop on camera, but stuff happens. Another S word, you know, literally. All right, so Marion Lawrence in this one, who doesn't love that? Just has to be the most beloved character, maybe next to Liz. All right, let's talk about this during the credits. This one is called, it's from season 3, episode 20, the 94th episode they ever did. They're getting close to 100 here. This is called The Corn is as High as a Guernsey's Eye. The corn is as high as a Guernsey's eye. Of course, taken from the Oklahoma. The corn is as high as an is it elephant's eye? Elephant's ear? I don't know. I actually don't know musicals that well, though I enjoy them. Okay, so this is written by Ruth Brooks Flippin. Once again, I never looked into her. We're probably about right there. Who is that? I don't know. Did she write other ones? I know I should know this stuff, but, you know, there's only so much time. Anyway, wait. Where are the Lay's potato chips? Hold on. Wait for, because I think this has to be a mistake. Darren has an apple. Can you see it in this shot? There's Lay's potato chips on his desk with the exact same packaging we still have today. Is this the one or is it later? Anyway, oh, look at the cigarettes in the, I think it's later. Look at the cigarettes in the pencil holder thing. Isn't that crazy? Again, you know, this could be today. We don't even see a phone there. There's nothing that says this can't be 2024, so what would say it, even what they're wearing? The cigarettes in the candy holder. Gosh, it's early in the morning here, by the way. Cigarettes in the, because we shoot these all different times of the day, depending on where we have time. Cigarettes are in the pencil holder. There's a lighter on the desk. And now the phone kind of gives it away, of course. However, short of the ringtone, though, I love having that ringtone on my cell phone. I don't know if you guys do that. I always say, I think it's called like 1960s phone or something. That's like a ringtone I use a lot. I guess because obviously I'm sitting here talking about this. I must love this retro stuff, clearly. But anyway, you're going to see glazed potato chips. Okay, so let me go to the story before I finish this. Aunt Clara has popped in. It's a very, this is actually really well written, I think. She pops in. Liz actually says here she's very depressed, which I find interesting. They would actually go down that road. Obviously, that's what the character's doing, but they're saying Aunt Clara is very depressed because Enchantra and Endora have just railed her about being useless. And Endora, now who's not, Agnes is not in this episode. They just refer to her several times, actually say, Endora, the character Endora, actually says to Aunt Clara, says Marion Lorne, that you're an old cow that should be put out to pasture. So that's setting us up for everything. Now, Aunt Clara is trying to turn herself into something here. Oh, she said, I just should turn myself into something useful. So she's turned herself into a plant, clearly a real plant, with strings on it because they have to make it wilt, because she says, I can't even be a good plant. Look, even I wilt. So there's clearly a string down there looped through something, and they're actually yanking on that plant. All right. Hey, you know what I think I discovered this time? I don't know this. You know how Aunt Clara is always a mess with ash on it? I think it's baby powder. Let's wait when we see her closer. Do you know why I think it's baby powder? It's now she's all cleaned up. Because you know when you like do baby powder and there's like a little circle and a line and a circle and a line, like what else does that? So there are smudges, but it looks like baby powder pattern, which makes total sense, of course. So you know, when they're making them dirty and stuff, they're using makeup. They're not really using dirt. I don't know if that's obvious, but they're using things that look like, who wants dirt all over their face? Now, every now and then you'll get a crazy actor like, I won't say their names, who rub dirt all over themselves and they're just weird in real life. But typically, you know, it's the makeup person and wardrobe person's job to make you look dirty. If you have really dirty clothes, they're typically dyed like that. I have seen people use Worcestershire sauce, believe it or not, but it's usually like something harmless, like a body powder or a food product. You know, again, they're not going to like put real oil on you. Let's say if you're a mechanic and you're an actor, you know, it'd be not only dangerous but smell. I love this little extra guy. Right, he's not an extra. He's talking. In case you don't know, tons of extras in the show. By the way, if you're an extra, you don't talk. Then there's something called featured extras, where you're an extra who doesn't talk, but you're like a waiter who's in it a lot, or just some extra that's in the scene a lot and actually has specific things to do other than walk on by. And Claire's talking. I like this guy. What is it about him that I like? I don't know. He's he's good. I buy him. He's all attitude. He's a Don Juan, because he said to Aunt Clara earlier, hey, babe, or something like that. You want to go for a ride? And now, so anyway, he's a day player. He is cast as the elevator guy. Could you imagine your agent calls and says, you're cast as an elevator guy, because he doesn't have a name. Even his thing just says elevator. Elevator guy. That's all you can get me. He goes, no. It's a co-starring role. So that would be considered a co-starring role. He's in it a lot. He's not a star, but he's a co-star. By the way, there's this one gray-haired dude and that one extra that's in everything that's always walking around. It's like, okay, go back and loop around. Remember the Truman Show? Go back and loop around. Like he just went, the gray-haired guy with the carrying the briefcase. He's in it constantly. I like him for some reason. So that line is actually setting us up for the whole episode. He said, hey, lady, when you're done talking to the plant, there's a cow around the corner that's kind of lonely. Okay. I love this episode. I'll bet a lot of you do too. Oh my gosh, I haven't read this yet. So, all right. So the story is one of McMahon and Tate's competitors has the Morton milk account. I think it's Morton. I'm not sure. And Larry was in there talking to Darren, saying they have that account. I want that account. Samantha has agreed to come down earlier to meet him for lunch. And look, yeah, right. She does this a couple times. She pops it in the middle of people. See, again, how does someone at the table read, or even when they're shooting, say she can't pop it in the middle of people? Let's at least put her in the back corner. At one point, she pops it in the middle of a crowd. So, one of those inconsistencies we just try to pretend doesn't happen. See, the dude has a lot of lines. He's a co-star. So he's hitting on Liz, saying,
"Would you mind going up to heaven without me?"
Let me take you to a ride for heaven. She said, "Do you mind taking a ride to heaven without me? I'm very busy right now." And now he's going to say to her, "I know, there's crazy stuff going on here. There was a lady talking to a plant." There's the guy. See that guy? That extra behind him is constantly walking around. He's always there and never goes anywhere. I love looking at that kind of weird stuff. This is a set, by the way. You definitely can tell. You'll see when the elevator doors close. You know how there's a track on the bottom. There's no bottom to it. They're just there. And just so you know how that works, is a behind the scene things. There's one guy behind that wall, and there's one guy behind that wall, and they're watching for the dude to press the button, and the stagehands will actually push the doors closed. So there's nothing electronic going on, no big wiring. They're just pieces of board painted brown that they're just pushing back and forth and making look real. All right, so in the story here, because of what the elevator dude just said, Sam mistakenly thinks that's Aunt Clara who turned herself into a cow. You want to hear how stupid I am? I didn't know cows could have horns. I thought only bulls had horns. Do you know I never saw my first real cow till I was 18 years old? That's how much of a city boy I am. I'm not kidding. I tell people like that, there's no way. When I finally went away to college, which was, colleges are kind of out there somewhere. My freshman year, I was driving up to college and I drove by a field of cows and I saw a real cow for the first time. Isn't that weird? I know, I can't even believe it. I did once go on a field trip where there was a fake cow that we milked, like it was ceramic and went whoosh, 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 which is a whole other story in terms of grossness. I know. People do it all the time. I'd milk a cow now. I just wouldn't be into it. Anyway, boy, do I divest, whatever, I'm die something-ing. All right, so in the storyline, when Samantha goes, I just love Casey Rogers. You know I met her, right? And talked to her a lot. Such a nice person in real life. And I remember how I said they cast people like they really are. She's just a really nice, see her? That's just her. Of course, that's not her hair. Her hair's blonde in real life. They made her wear a wig. And later in life, by the way, just so you know, maybe because that was who she was, she wore, I don't know if it was a wig or if she dyed her hair black, but after Bewitched, I know there are some people who watch this who actually knew her. I think one guy who knew her who leaves really bad comments all the time. Just saying, sometimes you people think I don't know who you are, but the Bewitched world is small. Even if you use a username, user897BCKR, I can just tell by what you're saying who you are. Just saying. But it's okay, because I love the comments, the bad and the good, believe it or not. I may have deleted one negative. I don't delete comments, by the way, just so you know, ever. Unless someone rats on somebody else unfairly and will make them feel bad. I don't care how bad you want to make me feel. I'm not pretending to be anybody other than watching Bewitched here with you while you're watching it there and talking about it and trying to do a little research and tell you what I know in the process. Because since I've been doing this, I've even been surprised at how many of these people I've met. Like the guest stars and stuff that I must have talked to and forget, because again, I wasn't walking around in life with a notepad. All right, where am I? So Louise is babysitting while she went to lunch. Samantha thinks she found Aunt Clara who turned herself into a cow because of what Endora said to her earlier. She zaps the cow back home. Of course, that's not Aunt Clara. She's sleeping behind curtains in a rocking chair. And of course, some magic thing has to happen and somebody has to walk back in the door without knocking, mind you, like Louise just did. And now she's going to say, I got to call Larry. A cow? Which I'm going to call Larry right now. Very nice person. Casey Rogers, which, by the way, was her second stage name. She had a stage name before that, and then a birth name before that. So anyway, there's Aunt Clara sleeping. All right. You know what? Do I have a minute? All right. Yeah, commercial. Not real commercial. You know what I'm saying? Okay, so this was shot December 5th, 1966. So people are, wait, Lay's potato chip alert. There it is, look. Isn't that cool? That can't be real. I'm guessing Dick was really eating those Lay's potato chips because that is not, a set person would not make that look that nasty. Though there's an apple there, so I'm thinking maybe they're trying to make it look like he's having lunch or whatever, but which fascinates me most, 1966 shot, 1967 aired, January 1967. They look exactly like the Lay's potato chips do today. Isn't that cool? They're probably even made the same, minus a chemical here or there. I just think that's so cool. I couldn't believe when I was watching this. Again, this one I watched. Sometimes I don't watch them ahead of time. Sometimes I do. And I saw the Lay's potato chips, and I'm like, oh, that can't be on purpose. All right, what else? Let me see. So, C.L. Morton, the guy, the client, his real name is Howard Smith. I think that's everything, right? If not, we sure got plenty to talk about. All right, so gotta love Mary and Lauren, you just do, right? Loving that hat, loving all that stuff. So Darren in the story is just like, oh, looking around, what's going on in the lobby? Ha ha ha! Look, they can't find the cow. It's a disaster. Good for them. Maybe we'll get the account. So Darren goes downstairs, just happens to peek behind that keep out curtain, and there's Aunt Clara sleeping, and Dick is just so good. I should have talked about it when it went on, but look at him. Even the way he's walking, there's the elevator guy. Look, it's a pretty big role. He's saying you got a call from your wife, and your secretary says you have to take it right now, and then very misogynistically reversed, women's libish reversed. He says, I don't know, I wouldn't want to go up against my wife and my secretary at the same time. A lot of these sexist jokes, reversed or otherwise, but it's the 1960s, and that's what's sold. So he says, okay, I'll go call my wife. So he's going to call his wife because Louise said, you got to call me. It's an emergency. And he's going to say, Sam has a cow. Now, Darren's on the phone in the meantime. How much do you love those payphones? I think we should still have payphones, don't you? Even if they're $1 or $2, sometimes you need a payphone. Your cell phone dies. I think the reason, maybe you know this, I think the reason we don't have payphones anymore is because of pigs who destroy them. I just can't, I get very angry about this smash and grab stuff, this rioting, tearing down store stuff. Shoplifting really makes me angry because we all pay for it in the end. Boy, that's off the beaten track. Okay, let's not get into this, right? I just made a lot of people hate me probably. So anyway, I just think we should still have payphones. They're great. Even when you want to like stalk somebody and don't want them to know what number you're calling from. Not really, but I think payphones would be very practical. I think there probably are some. They just don't last very long because bad people destroy them. Isn't that sad? It really is sad, you know, when we see where we come in some of those areas. I'm not going to get politically. I never get political in this stuff. All right, so even though some people say, oh, I've been accused of being very right and very left by my comments, but hopefully you can't tell because that's not what this is all about. And who cares at the end of the day, right? We're sharing something in common. Do we really have to hate? Wow, I'm getting off the beaten track, huh? Do you really have to discard someone only because of their political stance? Can't we all just love each other and get along? I'm getting more random, but I love TikTok. I love Rosie O'Donnell on TikTok too. She has a very hard political stance, but she will often say, she does this. I don't know if you know how hard this is to do. Sit here for a half hour and talk. That's really hard to do, and especially in this format because I can't really stop. You have to think. This starts, and I go, and I keep going for 30 minutes just talking. That's actually not very easy to do, I have to say. I just happen to have the gift of the gab, so and I've done TV for so long and lots of live TV, I can do it. Rosie O'Donnell's another one. If you've ever seen her on TikTok, she can just go on and on. Anyway, she often says she's very far left, but has lots of friends that can be very far right. It's okay to have differences. That doesn't mean you throw the baby out with the bathwater. I have no idea why I went down this road. All right, so now that half the people who were watching are gone, let's go back to Bewitched in the story. So Sam is calling Darren. No, Darren is calling Sam. Aunt Clara's here. No, she's not. She's right here with me. She's eating her oats. Eventually, no, she turned to Darren. She turned herself into a cow. No, Aunt Clara is right here. Meantime, behind him, Larry's getting the phone call from Louise saying Sam has a cow in her living room. And Larry's like, you stole the cow? You have the cow at home? And Darren's like, so why didn't she do that when Louise walked in? Or when Louise was coming down the steps? You know what I'm saying? You gotta ask yourself. And that looks looks actually kind of golden. And is that what a Guernsey looks like? Obviously, I don't know what a Guernsey is. Is that okay? Watch her pop in the middle of the hole. Boom. Really? But maybe her witchliness knew that everyone's back would be to her, right? Let's just say that. Because you know how we try to fill in the blanks in our head. That's a pretty big set. That's a set. Again, but you can tell by the elevator. And they got cows prancing around. This really wouldn't be on location. There's the elevator dude I like, who has lots of lines. Big part in this. When you think about it, he has a bigger part than Marion. The fake to make it look like the elevator is moving. He way over did that. A fire director, and I say, cut, dude, chill it down a little bit. Elevators don't jerk that much. And very cool gig. There's the shrunken cow. Like when she shrunk the Christmas tree. Love that. I love it when she shrinks things. And I love it when they make toys big. And I love that whole thing. And that's my kid brain. Maybe you're like that. And look, boom and boom. Flash, meaning the camera wasn't locked down and something happened. That cow came in from that way, by the way. So that's actually a 3-walled set if you count the door. And there is no wall right here because the cow's sticking out. Obviously, the big butt's sticking out. It's super cool, super creative. Someone scripted that and thought it up, and there she goes, popping in the middle of people again, and there is a redhead right behind her who could have saw it. Bad witch. Someone thought all that up. There's the extra who's in everything. See him in yellow, watch this. Again, it's just so fun to watch how they screw these things up. This episode to me has a lot of errors. So there's the dude in the yellow shirt, right? Standing behind Liz, the extra who's in everything, in that shot. Now he's behind. Now he was there. Now he's at the front door. Now the dude passed out in the elevator. Now he's going to run into the elevator and help the dude he passed out. Now he's smacking him on the face. Now he's behind Liz again. Then he's in front of the front door again. There he is again. So you see what I'm saying? So it looks like there's a ton of people there. And really, as production goes, they do have a lot of extras running around here. Not as many as you think because they're just moving around. Now, in today's world, where they're, I don't want to say quite as sloppy, but they know people like me and us are out there picking things to shreds. They will really keep, there's a person, an extras person who keeps track of that. And if they do move them, like they'll put a navy blue blazer on them and maybe, what's that called, a fedora, that hat, back then. So they'll like almost re-wardrobe them and make them turn or like have a conversation with someone so you can't tell them when. It's not that they don't reuse people even today. They're just much more cognizant of, play, pause, stop. Think about it. There was no play, pause back then, right? All right. So while we went through this whole episode really fast, this is the end, by the way. All right. So, of course, Samantha fixes everything, brings the cow back. It's in the elevator. There's my cow. Larry's calling right now to say, hey, guess what? We got the Morton Milk account, if that's what it's called. I think it is. And Darren's all happy. It was very interesting because what happened right here is the phone rang and the doorbell rang at the same time. And Samantha says, I'll get the door, you get the phone. We see the conversation that Darren has with Larry saying he got the account.
He already
Again,
owns
Marion does not have a big role in this at all.
He's
Not a lot of
bringing us
lines,
more of his little
which they would
something
feed to her
around
one
town.
at a time, of course. Wasn't any expectation of her memorizing the whole
See, Aunt
script
Clara?
because
All
everything
of
was
them
cut so
mistakes turn
choppy
out to
anyway.
work.
And a lot of
One
actors
course
memorize
helps.
that way. They'll, what scene are we doing next? They'll go memorize the lines. What scene are we doing next? They'll go memorize the lines. So people really don't memorize a whole
The ones
show,
from Mr.
especially when
Miller.
you're doing episodic television. Okay, this is why I said cows plural in the beginning. So that's a real handler there. That's not an extra. Those cows, and my guess is there's some cow tethered. One, two, three, four or five real cows at the end. Now that's not happening when these actors are there. Liz and Dick and Marion are not there when they're bringing those cows in. They're just cutting it to make it look like that. So they've already shot this. They're pretending they're seeing cows out the window, either early that morning or late that night or a whole different
We
day.
love cows.
There's just a camera way back in the living room shooting through the into the backyard, watching the cows walk in, and they're cutting it like they're really there. See, they're not there. I think there's a candle lit, by the way. Like someone lit a real candle on that table by that lamp. The first time I looked, I was wondering. Okay, that's it. Just love the Marion Lorne ones with the Guernsey cow. If that really, Bill Frogue produced that. All right, so there you have it. A nice, short, sweet, simple. To me, this is just like a nice, typical bowl of vegetable soup or chili, whatever you happen to like, on a rainy day. Watch Bewitched. That's that one. Super easy to watch, super enjoyable. A go-to when you had a stressful day episode. But I think, I don't know what you think, but I like it. Good one, good one. All right, that's it. What's next? Think. I know what's next. Oh, the next one is As If They Never Met. I love those ones where Endora or whoever sends them back. They've done it a couple times. One of the best ones that has Nancy Kovac and Sheila's back in this one. So we'll do that one next in Bewitched Chat. Okay? Look forward to seeing you there. In the meantime, keep the magic alive, the magic in your heart.
I never thought my heart could be had, but now I'm caught and I'm kinda glad to be